Welcome back, adventurers, to another episode of Underdark Stellars. Today we are diving right back into anime adaptations with Campfire Cooking in Another World with my absurd skill. We're going to be making the Red Boar Cabbage Rolls that the protagonist makes. Now, a little summary about this anime is that this 27-year-old salaryman gets transported to another world along with like 3 high schoolers in a summoning ritual. If you're not familiar with the Isekai genre, there are basically 2 methods to getting transported to another world. One through summoning against your will, and the other, well, let's just say Truck-kun makes a lot of appearances. Anyway, so he has this ability called Online Supermarket, which basically allows him to purchase items from modern Japan and get them delivered to him immediately in this fantasy world. This allows him to make lots of foods and order instant meals that would be unavailable to him otherwise in a fantasy setting, and it allows him to make all kinds of friends, including a Fenrir, a slime, a little fairy dragon, and other people along the way. Let's get started. So technically we could use an instant dashi powder. However, I am not going to do that. I prefer the taste of homemade dashi. I just think it tastes different. I think it tastes better. So we're going to take 2 pieces of kombu, that is a dried kelp, and we are going to take a damp paper towel and very gently, just all over, a nice little cleanse, if you will. We're not scrubbing the white stuff. That's where the flavor's at. Now, technically, you don't need to do this anymore because kombu manufacturing is different, so they have rinsed the kelp for you already, but Masahara Morimoto says to do it, so I do it. I will do anything that man tells me. And then we're going to take garlic. I chopped up probably a half cup of garlic total. I like to use salt on my garlic. I feel like it helps draw out the moisture and it helps me get a much finer mince. And we are going to set that aside. Now, the kombu you want to heat on low in the water. We're going to put 2 pieces for 8 cups of water, and you want to heat it just until bubbles start to come up to the surface. We don't want it to boil. We don't want it to simmer. You know, it just... that's how we're doing things. And then I sliced up some ginger and I had some extra and I put it in a teapot because we've been sick, and also the air quality where I live is horrendous and it's triggering my allergies, so I apologize if I sound congested. I am, but that's just because the air is toxic. Anyway, so we're going to freshly mince some ginger and put that aside as well, and then we're going to, you know, boil some water and add that to the so good. Freshly boiled ginger tea is superior to the tea bags. Anyway, so we're also going to mince some green onions, and we're going to finish prepping our pork mixture. I am using a Japanese ground pork. I have found that Japanese ground pork has a coarser grind than American, so if you want more texture in your dumplings, that might be the way to do it. I'm also going to add some sesame oil, white pepper, and a splash of sake to the ground pork, and we're going to also add some cornstarch. You could also use potato starch if you want like a more silky final product. You could use potato starch, but I used cornstarch because that is what I had. Next, I don't drink, so we're going to use the remainder of the sake in a sauce. I'm combining the sake with some soy sauce, some non-alcoholic mirin, and sesame oil with a little clump of brown sugar and chili oil, and we're going to bring that to a simmer in the back. Once the kombu is done, we are going to remove it from the pot, and then we are going to add in like 3 large handfuls of bonito flake. Now, technically it's 3 like kind of compressed cups of bonito flake, but I go by the handful. We're measuring with our hearts. Then we're going to skim off the white stuff. Now, you could like let it steep and just use like a skimmer, but if that's not working for you, I also have taken paper towels and I've dabbed the white stuff off the top, and then we're going to strain it after it sits for like 15 minutes and press it out, and it's so good. It is so good It is so good and smoky. It's a little briny like the ocean. It's a little fishy, but mostly it's just smoky. And there is something about the katsuobushi I used, which are the bonito flakes, that had like a very subtle sweetness to it. Oh my gosh, so good. Next, we're going to take our cabbage leaves. I am using a Napa cabbage, and I am going to cut off the ends where it's like super, super stiff. And now we're going to take the dashi that we made, and we're going to bring that up to a simmer, and we are going to blanch our cabbage leaves because cabbage is very, very stiff, and I don't want the cabbage rolls to break. So we're going to give these a blanch to soften them up. Now, you'll know they're done when they're looking particularly soft, when they're looking particularly flexible. So like that needed more time. That was not done enough, but this, if you see how it like goes straight down, that's done enough. So we're going to remove those. I put those in a strainer off to the side, and we're going to keep now, but here's the thing. So you see how the dashi now has some of that cabbage flavor to it, but also the cabbage has some of the dashi. We're going to continue stirring that sauce, add a little cornstarch slurry to it, and then we're going to get ready to steam these. Now, here's the thing. In hindsight, I tried to steam them. However, that did not work out well. So I ended up having to finish them off rolled in the pot the way it shows in the anime. And I think that might have been the better decision. I was trying to steam them like you would other cabbage rolls or dumplings, but I think because of the volume of meat, it just took me longer. So use a probe thermometer in one of the largest dumplings and then put them directly in the pot in the broth. Learn from my mistakes. Do as I say, not what you are seeing, because this was wrong. So it took me like half an hour, and then I had to go ahead and put them back in there because they weren't done, and it was such a hassle. Now, this is how I served it. I grabbed a cabbage roll, I topped it with some of that sake soy glaze, and then I added some of the dashi to the bowl, cut it into a couple pieces, took a big bite. This slapped. This was so good. This healed something in me. Oh man, that was so good. Anyway, that brings us to the end of the episode. If you liked what you saw, smash that like button. If you have any comments, questions, suggestions, drop those down below. Subscribe if you're not subscribed. Ring the bell for notifications so you're the first to know when new videos go live. And as always, adventurers, do something nice for someone else. Take care of yourselves. Don't get sick. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.